Today we are going to talk about Sansar again, and we're going to talk about whether a 3D artist can make money in Sansar. Now, the answer to that is kind of obviously yes. Why would I ask such a question if the answer was not yes? But there are many, many nuances to this, and I'm going to go through as much of it as I can today. It's going to be mostly just me talking about basically my experiences in Sansar. So, first, maybe we should go into the history of Sansar. So originally, Sansar was started by Linden Lab. Ebe, the CEO of Linden Lab, announced Sansar and basically said it would be a place for 3D artists, for creators, and people like that. Anybody who wanted, even musicians and stuff too, but creators were the main focus that was going to be Sansar. In the early days, I'll say, I've always had good experiences with the engineers, with the developers. Linden Lab has great engineers. I have great relationships with them. But the management is a little bit different. A whole other can of worms there. So that's kind of the history of how Sansar started out. And when I first came here, immediately you first realize, the lighting system, the PBR materials and everything. This is an experience that Bignari and I made. It's kind of an Egyptian experience, and there's camels walking around and whatever. As far as creating here, Bignari and my partner and I, we love it. We're almost addicted to it in many ways. But that said, there are, and I'm sorry if I don't go directly into these issues, but I want to cover a lot of the positive stuff first. Okay, because technically I don't want to make this video, or at least I would want this video to be a little slightly different than it is going to be today. Here's the Sansar website. I can show you our store. Okay, so we have lots. We sell just about every kind of 3D item you can think of. So Sansar does have this marketplace, which is pretty cool and everything. Not a lot of 3D worlds that you go into are going to have a marketplace. So, there are lots of items. There's been lots of artists here over the years, and there are lots of items that you could purchase on the marketplace. I'm going to show you, what do I want to show you? Kind of how the marketplace works in a way, kind of the good things about it. So let's just go into an avatar, maybe. Avatar list. Let's edit this one. And if you look, we have, kind of all the things you would expect. Images, the price. And right here it says buyer can resell this item for a minimum price of $7.99. So if somebody buys this item, this avatar or whatever, now the system isn't set up to sell avatars right now. Mostly this is just for objects in your scene. But I would hope that at some point they would want to, they do want to make this for avatars too. So the theory would be, and like I said, it works this way for objects right now. That someone would buy your item, and let's say they wanted to add something to it. So let's say they could put together a package avatar with clothing and hair and everything. They could take and resell your product, still pay you your asking price, and then they would have to sell it for more, some added value that they added, and then they would get that extra cost on top of this $7.99. So in many ways, this is kind of an ingenious way to do things, but at the same time, it also comes with pitfalls. So let's imagine that I don't want to sell on Sansar anymore. Well, now these people have already purchased my item, and they can keep reselling it for eternity, and I can't do anything about that. So there's no way to stop this. And let's imagine that the commission rate, so the rate at which we cash out with, let's imagine that rate changes. So now I am making less money on my sales, but I gave somebody else an opportunity to sell my stuff perpetually at this super low rate, where I'm not really benefiting because of the increase in the commission rate. So again, not only can't I stop this, I can't change it either in the future. So, like I said, there's some parts of it are ingenious, but then again, there are also issues. Okay, so that's kind of the marketplace and kind of how that stuff works. As you can see, we do have some money in there. I guess what I should talk about now is kind of the commission rate, right? If I'm talking about all this other stuff. The commission rate technically is 62%, meaning that, they break it down into Sansar dollars, but the end result of it is they are taking 62% and you are getting 38% for you selling your own product. Okay. Now, just recently, from the time I've been here till now, we aren't charged that 62%, because they put that off. I think in a way they understand that's a little excessive. So because we're new, founding creators on the platform, they give us a special rate, which is 32%. And just recently, they told us that they are willing to extend that rate to some indefinite time in the future. But that doesn't take away from the fact that 62% sits there. So, and imagine that day comes when we go from 31 or 32% to 62%. All of a sudden, you're going to have a huge drop in your income if you rely on Sansar. So that's kind of how the commission rate goes. There are many reasons for this thing and how it works. One of the problems that I see is no matter what, the rates are too high. It's difficult. Let's imagine that someone wants to sing, to do a performance in Sansar. Well, the commission rate is so high, you can't really tip them. If you tip them, now you're not just paying them, you're also paying Sansar too, because they're going to have to pay that rate when they cash out. So it's very difficult to tip a person. It's very difficult to, let's say you ask someone to make you something. It's very difficult to pay them in Sansar dollars, because now you're paying Sansar instead of paying the artist. So that's where there's a lot of issues within it. The Steam deal is problematic, and it annoys me endlessly, because It's in many ways I feel it's not honest to the creators, because the way the Steam deal works is that Steam makes 30% of the sale of Sansar dollars on Steam's website. It does not mean that Steam makes 30% on the total sale of Sansar dollars. So if a user purchases Sansar dollars from Sansar's website, Steam gets zero. But at the same time, this Steam deal, this 30%, is part of their reasoning for charging us, in the end, 62%. And if anybody thinks about this at all, you would understand that Sansar is never going to pay Steam 30%. Never. Because that would assume that everyone purchases Sansar dollars on Steam, which is kind of ridiculous. But still, they pass on that 30% onto us instead of even absorbing any of it. It's like the creators are here to pay for the Steam deal, which is ridiculous. We didn't ask for the Steam deal. We don't benefit from the Steam deal. There's very few people that are even in Sansar that came from Steam. And the Steam reviews actually hurt Sansar quite a bit. So that's kind of the Steam deal. I have kind of a point list I'm going through. We did just talk about the commission rate. The other part is like economically. Sansar, it's difficult for Sansar to really form an economy. In Second Life, many of the rates, like if you were to rent land, that land in Second Life is very expensive. But you don't have to rent land. So you can get around all that. You don't need to rent. Even if you're a creator, you don't have to have land. You just need a place to create, which doesn't mean you need to pay for land. There are sandboxes and whatnot. Okay? So the land rate in Second Life is very expensive. But the rate at which the creators cash out is very low. And this equates to an actual economy. Because the rate is so low, you have lots of people in there doing business, and that generates an actual economy. Because lots of people benefit from being in this economy. Sansar, on the other hand, is much different. You have this super high rate, whether it's 62 or 31 or whatever, but everyone is going to end up paying that tax. Even if you're a user. If you're a user, you're paying more for every single product on the platform because the company wants to take so much from the currency. So that's what makes it difficult to make money in Sansar, because there's very little economic activity going on at all. And like I showed you, we sell a lot. Begnari and I sell a lot of different kinds of products, and the rate at which we get sales, and it's partially because there's so few people here. But why are there so few people here? Because, in my honest opinion, it's because very few people benefit from being here. The way the system is set up, really the only one that can benefit is Sansar. So that's kind of the issue of it all. Another point I wanted to make is that Linden Lab no longer owns Sansar. They sold Sansar to a company called Wookie, and Wookie is, I don't know if you want to say they're running it, but they're allowing the past management team to control what goes on in Sansar. And which brings up another topic, which has to do with their direction. They have stated, and to them, this was a pivot, but to me, it's always been this way. They have always been more focused on their outside interests. They say they're focused on events, but those events are, or at least they want to be created by these big corporations. So the company itself is going out chasing all these big corporations like Levi's, Hello Kitty. There are two corporations that are in here. And the company, Sansar, or the platform, pushes their products over the users or the creators, the artist products. So there's another conflict of interest there. And because they're so focused on event stuff, they have stopped all development as far as things that we need, the creators and artists need to make great places and fun places. So there's a lot of issues within that. One of the things that I point out all the time, it's difficult to make money because of these high rates. Okay, and if anybody has done any recent if you've learned anything about economics, one key thing in economics is called the Laffer curve. So, and the Laffer curve is kind of just points out that you need to find the perfect rate at which to tax your community or your people, or you will make less money. Basically, if you charge too much, you'll make less money. If you tax too little, you'll make less money. So there is like this point at which you will make the company will make the most money, and it benefits all of us for Sansar to be a profitable company. It means it'll be around for a long time. It means that we'll get more development. They'll have money to help develop the platform more. So it's not a bad thing for the company to make money. It's just how they do it, how they go about doing it. And it seems that their only strategy is to take it all off our backs or from some big corporation that pays them to do something. Okay? So that's that part of it. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about kind of my experiences in Sansar and why I think these things are kind of relevant to any creator that comes in here. And I don't want to make it out like I'm some big deal. I should get all these special privileges. I try not to ask for privileges or anything. But I like to know what's going on so I can relay it to, other creators. And one of the things I've seen over the years, I've been here like over 3 years, okay? Pretty much from the beginning of open beta or open alpha or whatever. I don't know any, well, maybe 2 or 3, any creators that have not been threatened with a ban or suspension. Okay, now a lot of this stuff happened while Linden Lab was running the company, but it's still the same people kind of, same management running things, and to me it kind of shows that like the people at the top don't know what's going on. Like, how could you kind of harass your creators so much? At one point, I was accused. I made an African American avatar, and I was accused of being a racist. And then, because I know people within the company, I was told that in their Slack channel, people were bad mouthing me and things like that. I mean, just some crazy drama stuff going on. And these are my experiences. Okay, so this is imagine what happens to other creators. You know, and I've heard all these stories because people come to me and tell me. Some of them think I can do something about it, but I have very little control over these things, you know. I mean, I'm not such a big person or artist that they're going to bend for me. So that's a point that I want to make. You come in here, you want to just create, you want to make money, and then because some crazy person in the company doesn't like you or whatever, now you're being harassed. At one point, there was a person that worked for Linden Lab that threatened my partner to drop me as her partner, and if she did not, then they would never feature us or anything she did. But if she did drop me, then they would ensure that she would be featured. This happened on this platform, and pretty much nothing was done about it. Okay. Another thing is you pay the 62%, and their strategy is not to market the place. They do very little marketing. They did some Twitter marketing and things like that, but they don't market it out to YouTube or Facebook or anything like that. They've done tiny campaigns for this, but in general, they spend almost zero on marketing. Now, sounds like I'm really bashing them now, but this is the truth. And you know, if I made all these videos to show people how to do things, I want people to understand what they're walking into. Okay. So kind of the last point I want to make, and a lot of this negative stuff is very sad. I have been putting off doing this video for a very long time because I've been hoping that, you know, some things would shape up and some major changes would be made, but I really don't see that happening at all. And their focus is still on events. They're still not developing stuff for us. They don't feature creator stuff. They don't market it, our stuff at all. They're almost in competition with us because they'll do a big build for some big festival or whatever, and then they're competing with us for people and everything else, products that they sell for their sponsored corporations and stuff. So there's a lot of what I very much consider exploitation, and it's not just a low level thing. It's from the top down. When Linden Lab owned the company, Top 5 was supposed to be their Sansar studio team, constantly getting free work done from people in the community. Somebody who did a bunch of YouTube videos for Sansar, constantly getting creators to make stuff for them. Currently, right now, there is what they call a comment program, which pretty much has people do stuff for free for them. So, you know, you can make money in Sansar, but these are the conditions you'll be dealing with. Competing with people who get favoritism because they're doing all this free stuff for the company and things like this. It's not a great environment. I hope that kind of pointing a lot of this stuff out maybe will change things for the company, because look at it. It's a beautiful world. The engineers did an amazing job, but management from every aspect has just been bad. The decisions that are made are horrible from every aspect. Right now, I'm wearing a custom avatar that I made. Why? Because there's no way for me to make anything like this in this world, because they, at one point we had one avatar rig, then I complained about it and told everyone that this would have to change, and everyone said that wasn't the case until they fucking changed it. So, and then that pissed off everyone, and then they didn't finish the one they changed. We don't have body sliders. We have some face sliders, but you can't make your chest bigger, your arms be more muscular, or any of that stuff. And we're years into this. So, and I don't want to keep going on about bad stuff, but I just want to make sure that if you're a 3D creator, if you're a 3D artist, and you come in here, you fully understand what you're dealing with. All right. Have a good one, everyone.